Be going live in about 60 seconds for those of you on YouTube or that person on YouTube. What's up, guys? It's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, roughly. It's time for Guns and Gadgets. I'm your host, Alex, or Xander Mac, whichever you prefer. Little house cleaning tonight. I'm doing the show by myself. My first time using all this equipment, by the way, so you're going to have to bear with me. I'm very likely to mess something up, but I don't know, I'll do the best I can. Mike and Tyler are taking a little break from the show. Not sure how long it's going to be. I hope we see them back here soon. We're going to miss them. In the meantime, I'll be taking over and trying to fill 2.5 hours tonight. I'm going to hopefully in the future get some co-hosts in, some phone calls. I think I'll get a couple of phone calls tonight, to be honest. That's a show status update right now. I'm it. Feel free to call in. The number is 678-760-1556. We are going to talk a lot of tech tonight, primarily, and we'll do a little guns. But I guess people have been asking for a bit more tech, and there's a lot to talk about. A lot's happened over the last couple of weeks. Couple of teasers I put up on Facebook. I'm going to be laying into Apple a little bit tonight. Also going to be talking some good stuff about Apple tonight. Got a nice way for people to free up some space on their phones if they need it, especially you iOS users that want to update to iOS 9 but don't have the room to do it, so stay tuned for that. But let's start with September 9th. Let's go back a week or so. Didn't have a show last week, so I didn't get to talk about this, but on September 9th, Apple had their September keynote event, whatever you want to call it, where they introduced a lot of new stuff. First up was the Apple Watch. They just did some updates, released a couple of new Apple Watches in the Sport model, which is the aluminum model. They released one in gold and one in, well, they're calling rose gold. I'm never going to say that again. It's pink. From now on, it's fucking pink. A pink watch. They released a pink iPhone as well for, I don't know, I guess people are going to buy it. Apparently, it's sold out. So a couple of new sport watches, a lot of new bands. I actually went to Apple Saturday to get the battery replaced in my iPhone 6. And while I was there, I picked up a couple of these bands. Those of you on YouTube can probably see this orange band on my Apple Watch right now. I also picked up their stainless steel Milanese loop, which is it's actually pretty cool. It's a woven metal. It's coils of metal woven together. Feels very much like fabric, believe it or not. Folds like fabric, coils. That was beautiful. Kind of like a chainmail, but only flexible in one axis, not the other. Anyway, I picked up that, and I had a Apple Watch Sport, which is the aluminum model. And when I actually put the band on the watch, wasn't thrilled with the way it looked with the stainless steel against the gray aluminum. So I went back and picked up another Apple Watch. I got the stainless steel model with the Milanese loop, and I'll return the additional Milanese loop that I purchased because that way it was $50 cheaper. So now I have an orange band on this stainless steel one right now. I'm loving it. Watch OS 2.0 got released yesterday, and I'm just getting used to that. I don't really have anything to say about it, but that was the Apple Watch they started with. At the same event, they released their iPad Pro. Now, I'm sure most of you know what an iPad is. This is, I guess, their professional model. It's effectively if you take two iPad Airs, stand them in portrait mode or stand them on end and put them next to each other, that is effectively the size of the iPad Pro. It's a big old bugger. It's got 4 gigs of RAM, I believe. Obviously, you'd want the 128 gigabyte of storage. And they say desktop class performance. I haven't played with one. I forgot to take a look while I was at Apple, but from what I understand, they're remarkably fast. Along with that, they released what they're calling their pencil. It's a stylus effectively, but it's a specialized stylus. It only works with the iPad Pro because there are sensors in the screen and then sensors in the tip of the pencil so that they can talk together. It's pressure sensitive. And has gyroscopes in it, so it can sense angle. So imagine you're using a graphite pencil and you lay it down on its side and you start making sweeping strokes, thick, broad, graphite strokes. It even recognizes things like that, which I think is quite clever. It has a lightning plug port, whatever you call it, built into the pencil. You recharge it by plugging it into the iPad, and they say 15 seconds of charge will give you half an hour of sketching or drawing or whatever it is you do with that thing. I don't see any point to that for me personally, but I really see for graphic artists and design professionals, I see a lot of potential for this new iPad in the enterprise, and I think Apple are going to do okay with this one. I think it's going to be all right. They went on to the new Apple TV. Now, this one does interest me because I have an Apple TV already. I think it's a brilliant little device. It's how I watch TV in my home. I don't subscribe to cable, so I use the Apple TV and their channels. And I watch. They have a Hulu channel, Netflix. Most of the networks have a channel on there. Disney has a channel. There's a lot of things to choose from. But up until now, Apple have always referred to the Apple TV as a hobby device, a hobbyist device, and everything that's on it is created and curated by Apple. So they decide what goes on your Apple TV and what content you get to watch. Well, with the new Apple TV, they've expanded on this. They've redesigned it. They've made it. It's now really a standalone iOS device and is going to be tied into the App Store. So you're now going to be able to download applications to it, which means now the content providers will get to choose whether they are on the Apple TV or not. So while Fox News already have a channel, for example, I'll now be able to download the Fox News app and watch whatever I want, whenever I want. Same with Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball. Not that I watch baseball; it's crap. And games. Oh yeah, brilliant. So the Apple TV is going to be a game console. I think any of the games that currently run on iOS right now will be supported, and I'm sure the game developers will be making a whole new generation of games for this that will run on a high definition television. The remote control that comes with the new Apple TV has gyroscopes and accelerometers in it, and will operate as a game controller. I guess similar to the Wii. It will detect motion. There were a couple of games demoed at the keynote. One, I can't remember the name of it, but it was it was like a Wii Sports game. Effectively, Apple reinvented Wii Sports. And I don't know, it looks kind of cool for some people. I personally use a Bluetooth game controller, a gamepad, and the Apple TV will support those. That's what I'm going to continue to use, and I think it'll be great. Most of my gaming I do now on my iPad with a game controller. With the iPad currently, I can mirror that to the Apple TV, which is nice. So I can play on my television as it is, but it gets a little bit laggy because it has to communicate wirelessly. And everyone knows what it's like when you have lag in a game. You hit the fire button and a few microseconds later, milliseconds later, your shot will break, and it can be annoying. So now with native applications on the Apple TV, I do believe it's going to do away with that entirely. They'll now be full frame, full speed, and I think a good experience for people that don't want to mess with a console. The current Apple TV will remain on sale. I believe those are $69. And for anybody that wants that little Apple set-top box, I think it's a great purchase. The new ones are going to be 32 gigabyte, I believe, for 150, and 64 gigabyte for 199. I have a lot of games in the App Store, so I'm probably just going to get the 64 gigabyte. Go with that. And I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty neat. I'll be playing an Asphalt 8 on my new Apple TV in no time. What else did they do? Oh, new iPhones. All right, so the iPhone 6S and the iPhone 6S Plus or 6 Plus S, I'm not sure. Just a new generation of phones, I guess, that kind of an evolution of the iPhone. Again, they introduced that new color, the pink. And just believe it or not, I know a lot of guys that are ordering this pink iPhone, or rose gold, as they like to call it, bollocks. I guess the biggest feature of the new iPhone is 3D touch, or what they call force touch on the watch. So what this lets you do, how to describe this? It's difficult. So everybody knows what happens when you tap on your phone screen. You tap on it, something happens. And you know what happens if you long press on an iPhone screen, for example. If you long press an icon, they start to jiggle and you can move the icons around. So there's two forms of touch right there. Is just a standard tap and a long press. 3D touch adds sensors under the screen, and these sensors are, I guess, quite sensitive, and they measure the distance between the glass and the sensor, so it knows when you're pressing on the glass. And there are two levels of pressing or touch, whatever you want to. I don't know what they call it. They have specific names for them, but I'm going to call it a press, and a push. So if you actually, that may be what they call them. If you press lightly on the screen, on an icon, for example, it's the equivalent to a right click on a mouse. It can bring up a contextual menu. So for the camera icon, for example, if you press on it, it'll bring up, launch camera, take a selfie, and a couple of other options. If you then press a slightly harder, what they call a deep press, it will jump you straight into the app. So another example is if you're looking at a list of messages. If you're looking at an email, for example, you can lightly press on it, which will bring up a preview of the email. And if you let go immediately, it will just fade back and it will stay unread. If you press on it, get the preview, and then press slightly harder, it will jump you in to that message where you can, reply to it or whatever it is you want to do. It's kind of a visual thing. It's difficult to explain, but they're calling it 3D touch, and I got to tell you, I think it looks kind of cool. I'm not rushing to update my iPhone. Mine works great. I'm quite happy with it. And I think anybody that's been running an iPhone 5 or a 5S, I think this will be a great, I think it'll be a really good upgrade for those people. I have heard though, if you start to use one, I know people have tried them at the demos, and once they've used that force press and they get used to it, they go off and they start using their iPad and they're there mashing on the screen trying to get something to happen. And I've actually noticed that with the watch because the watch has force touch as well. And I've caught myself a few times pressing on the screen of my iPhone and wondering, well, why is nothing happening? Yeah, kind of daft, to be honest with you. Um, what else did they have at the event? I mean, the only thing that really I think excited me was the new Apple TV. I'm looking forward to getting some apps on there. It will integrate with Apple Music. Oh yeah, of course they launched iOS 9. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later because I don't know if anyone remembers, but when they released iOS 8, a lot of people had problems updating to it because it required a lot of free space. And most people with let's say you have a 16 gig phone, most people are running out of space. A friend of mine recently had, I think, 78 megabytes. No, not even that. It was 78 kilobytes left on her phone and could not take a photo, couldn't do anything. So I came up with a way for her to free up space. I'm going to talk about that later. It's going to be one of my free app of the week picks. I spent 48 hours testing this thing, actually longer when you consider the uploading time, but we'll talk about that later. So yeah, iOS 9 came out. I updated to that. It's okay. It's a little bit buggy. Again, I'll get more into iOS 9 later, I think. But that I guess that was finalized at the event back on September 9th, and then they gave a launch date of last week. Not really I don't know, not the best event Apple's ever had. There was a lot. I think the problem was they crammed so much into it. Um, I think the iPad could have been left out. It could have been an event by itself. Um, the watch, the Apple TV, and the iPhone, I think would have been great for this. They would have been able to spend more time on each of them. As it was, I think they rushed through the watch. They kind of rushed the Apple TV section of the presentation. Spent a decent amount of time on the iPad. And then went into the iPhone, spent 45 minutes on the iPhone, which I was kind of a waste of time. But, maybe you guys will be upgrading and getting them. If you are, give me a call, 678-760-1556. You're welcome to call in anytime and agree or disagree. Now, I'm not going to talk much about Android tonight because I don't use it, and I don't know enough about it. But anybody that does, again, feel free to call in. Like I said, I'm going to be talking about how to free up some space on your phone. The method I have actually works for Android and iOS, so it'll apply to everybody. But maybe you guys know of other services that are just as good, work just as well. What else do we have? I already told you I bought a new Apple Watch. I'm going to sell, by the way, my existing one. If anyone's interested, just hit me up on Facebook and we'll go from there. Oh yeah, God, we're going to talk about Volkswagen as well tonight, and I'm assuming everybody's heard what's been going on with them. I think it's a disaster. I don't believe it's the end of Volkswagen by any means, but wow, what a mess! What an absolute mess! Whatever possessed them to do this? And we'll talk about Donald Trump, who released his Second Amendment position paper. It would be nice to, hopefully Stephen will call in for that. I'd like to get his opinion on that because he's a liberal jackass, but supports the Second Amendment. So, go figure. Didn't know any of those existed. We're coming up on a break shortly. A couple of commercials, I think, and a couple of songs. It'll give me a chance to, Guinness in a Stella glass. Sorry. I know it's what I had. Um, although it fit perfectly, 14 and a half ounces. Who knew? Um, yeah, I don't know what else to do right now. I got 30 seconds and I've ran out of shit to talk about. But like I say, first night on my own, trying to keep an eye on the time and all of these buttons and the queue, make sure my commercials are coming up in time, which it looks like they are. So I will be back in a few minutes. Scotty, if you're watching, tell me how to answer a phone call on this thing. I'm assuming I just hit answer and the audio will feed through, but I can't really tell.
Yeah, it's the they made the no. Uh,
So they'll call in.
So when it okay, that's a good example. See how you have to slide it?
Yep.
That's the same thing that happened when a call in happened.
Okay.
I'm actually doing you a logo and stuff.
Okay.
Just to kind of change it up a little bit.
That's cool.
Okay, so just because this happens, when I call it, it automatically rings. Okay,
Yep.
but see, it just hit the arrow. With my phone, if
So
I
slide
call
over and the audio will automatically come through.
it's actually this right here.
Yep.
But most of the time, you don't have to adjust that volume. There's volume here. So if they seem too loud or not loud enough, you can just turn it up here.
Excellent.
But if you're talking and you don't want to answer, you can actually hit this button and it'll stop the ring. So in other words, if you're on a phone call with somebody and somebody else tries calling in, you can just hit that button, and whoever it is most likely is listening. And just say, "I'll call you back," or you can call back in.
All right,
Come
brilliant.
on, Bella. She just nut down. Yeah, man, it sounds great.
Well, good. I was trying to. I'm watching the clock and trying to.
But just know that you're in control. So you don't have to go a full 19 minutes. If you feel where you're getting to a stopping point, just shoot it. Hit auto or something. Hit auto. You gonna go pause real quick? No, oh, okay. Okay. Well, you're keeping it with. Yeah. You got it. Let's put another song in. Come on, Bella.
Hi, Dan. YouTube crashed. Let's fix this. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. The YouTube application crashed on me. Hopefully that's back on. Keith, send me a text if YouTube's streaming for you, brother. Thank you, sir. I guess this application's had some problems today and keeps locking up, so I got to keep an eye on that. And we're back. Guns and Gadgets Radio. I'm Alex, Xander Mac, whichever you prefer. Feel free to call in 678-760-1556. The YouTube stream went dead there for a minute. The application here. Hi, Danny. How are you? The application here has, I guess, been acting up today. Not sure what's going on, but I'm trying to keep an eye on it. This is what happens when you got to jiggle knobs and try to talk for 2.5 hours. Shit happens. But we're back up live on YouTube. If you want to tune in, just go to the Just for Fun radio channel and look for I think the live event in the playlist should be at the top of the queue. And you can see what goes on here, which isn't a great deal. It's me sitting in a chair, not really paying much attention to the camera, staring at these screens and trying to make sure everything goes smoothly. Yeah, we're on. All right. So, iOS 9 for the iPhone, the newest operating system for iOS devices, came out. When was it? A couple of days, a few days. I don't know, whatever it was. Last week sometime, maybe Thursday. Doesn't matter. And I updated. Now I have a 128 gig iPhone, so the update for me was no problem. I know a lot of people, though, are running into issues and cannot update because they don't have any free space. So, a friend of mine ran into this, Cindy, and I helped her get out of it. I did a little research, came up with what I think is probably the best free solution to free up space on your phone. Now, most people's space is taken up by photos and videos. You know what it's like. You have a camera on your phone. It shoots high definition video. It's something ridiculous like 150 megabytes per minute of video. And if all you have is a 16 gigabyte phone, you'll use that up quickly. So I did some research, and it had to be something that could work, obviously, as an app on the phone. And I decided to try Google Photos. Now, it's kind of an expansion of Google Drive, but Google have now made it a standalone product. It works on iOS and Android, and there's desktop uploaders for the Mac and the PC. So I tested out the iOS version and the Mac version. Now, you load Google Photos, and obviously ask for permission to access the photographs on your device. I will tell you this, you have to have a Google account, obviously a Gmail account, something like that. It asks you for permission to access your photographs, and it starts to upload them to the cloud. Now, make sure in the settings that it's set to upload over Wi-Fi only. If you allow it to do this over cellular, you're going to go through your data cap in half an hour easily. And there are two other options. There are upload optimized versions or upload full-sized versions. Now, most people won't have to worry about this because what it considers an optimized version is anything up to 16 megabytes, 16 megapixel photograph. So anything 16 megapixels or lower, it doesn't touch, it just uploads as is. And if you use that optimized option, it gives you unlimited free storage, which is amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. I have 50 gigabytes of storage on iCloud with Apple, and it costs me $1 a month. I was paying for 250 gigabytes, which was costing me $4 a month. So unlimited storage for free is unbelievable. So, you know, make sure it's uploading over Wi-Fi only, and choose the unlimited optimized versions because you won't see a difference. Now, what the app will then do is start to upload the photographs from your albums to the cloud, to Google. And it takes forever. I swear to God. I uploaded from two places. I uploaded from my phone and I uploaded from my desktop. Same, I did it on different days. It took probably 2 full days on Wi-Fi to upload everything from my phone. And then it was faster from my desktop because it had a faster connection, I guess, because it's hardwired via Ethernet. It took about just over a day and maybe a day and a half from the desktop. And it was the exact same photos each time. I have, you know, my photos are already in the cloud. They're synchronized to all of my devices, so they're the same on every single one. So 2 days from my iPhone and a day and a half from the desktop. Bear that in mind. And on iOS, it does not appear to work in the background. It should, according to the description of the app, it should work in the background, but it's not doing it. Hopefully they fix that in an update. So anyway, you update all your photographs, and then you can start deleting them to free up space on the phone itself. Now, this is where I think a lot of people could get tripped up by this app, because you don't delete them from the photo album on your phone. You delete them from inside of the Google Photos app. So make sure to read the instructions and pay attention if you decide to do this. But you once they're all uploaded, you go into the Google Photos app, and they're sorted in a number of different ways, but let's say they're sorted by date or month. Let's say you've got September 2015, you can click on the header for that section, September 2015. It will select every photo in that group and will bring up some options for you. One of the options is an ellipsis, 3 dots. I think that's what it's called. Danielle, you can tell me if that's an ellipsis. 3 periods. So you click on that, and the option there is to delete device photos, which will leave the photos in Google Photos, but delete them off of your phone. So delete device photos, at which point on an iPhone, it will say, do you want to allow this? You say yes, delete photos, deletes them off your phone, keeps them in the cloud. Now on iOS, that just puts them in the trash, puts them in the recently deleted folder. So then you go in your iPhone photo album, you go to the recently deleted folder, you then select the photos and delete all, and that frees up the space. Now I did this for Cindy. She has 16 gigabytes, I believe. Yeah, it was 16. She had 74 kilobytes free. Um, only about 500 photos, and the rest of her 16 gigs was taken up with video. That's so 500 photographs, a few apps, and the rest was videos. Videos of grandkids, grand youngins. Ugh. So I got her set up with this, and Cindy's no, she's not a spring chicken. She's a I don't know, she's a older lady, so I can't say she's overly technically proficient. So I set it uploading, and I told her, don't do anything with this until until it's completely finished and I've looked at it and made sure it's finished, and then I'll show you how to start clearing out space. And so that's what she did, and it took a number of days. Again, it doesn't work in the background, and it should. So at night she would open up the app, leave it running, let it upload her photographs, and eventually it got there. Then we got together at a mutual friend's house and got hold of her phone, showed her how to delete the photos from inside of Google Photos. And by the way, did tell her, don't do this, the next time. Just, say in October, at the end of October, we'll get together and we'll clear out your October photos, make sure they're uploaded, clear them out, and free up space for you again. But it ended up freeing, I want to say about 9 gigabytes of storage, just getting the photos and videos uploaded to the cloud. Now, you never know with Google. They have a habit of just stopping services randomly. I've had a number of Google services I used, Google Reader being one of them, which was a great RSS tool. And Google have a bad habit of just saying, yeah, enough's enough. We're not going to support that anymore. And just end of lifing it effectively. Now, I don't know they'd be able to get away with that with Google Photos. These are people's memories, obviously, and I don't think Google want to be fucking around with those. I imagine Google Photos is here for a while. They may rebrand it. They may rebadge it, just like they did Google Drive to Google Photos. But we'll see. But it seems like a really good option. And a great option for iOS and Android users. And for iOS users, it will free up the space to where you can then update your operating system. So iOS 9, it's not, I downloaded it, installed it. I ran the beta on my Mac Mini a few weeks back, and the beta of the OS 9 on the iPad, on my iPad Mini, iOS 9 on the iPad is pretty cool because it does new ways of multitasking. It has what they call slide over on the iPad Mini, and then on the full-size iPad, it has split screen side-by-side apps, which is kind of cool. So I was running iOS 9 beta on my iPad Mini. I installed it on my iPhone 6. I think the day they released it officially. You have a drink here real quick. Getting dry, sorry. And it's not bad. It's a little bit buggy, can be a little bit slow, but it's got some nice features. One of the ones I especially like is low power mode, which by default will turn on automatically at 20% battery life. And what that will do is it clocks down the processor and the graphics processor. It disables background syncing tasks. It disables any background applications. And sets your default timeout to 30 seconds and basically tries to get you a little extra time. Now, Apple say if you wait until it hits 20%, it will add, by their estimation, 3 hours of battery life from 20% down. So I've actually been enabling it. I've been enabling it all day. You could just go into settings and turn on low power mode. And it's been amazing. This phone has been, I took it off the charger, I think today around noon. It's now coming up on 8 p.m. and I'm sitting at 90% battery. Now, granted, it doesn't sync my email. I don't get my email pushed to me, but I do get every other notification. I get Facebook, I get my text messages, I've been getting Google Voice. I've been receiving every notification except for email. So bear that in mind. If you turn on low power, you're probably not going to get email alerts, but I don't know many people. I don't know many people that are using email on their phones these days anyway. I certainly don't use it a great deal on my phone anymore. I used to. My primary communication now is text messaging or iMessage. So yeah, low power mode. That's kind of cool. What else did they add? I mean, I guess Siri improvements, and that goes hand in hand with the watch. Actually, they've improved Siri quite a lot. I can ask it to do a number of new things. For example, if I'm reading a web page and I want to go back to it later, I can say, "Hey Siri, remind me about this later," and it will add a thing to my reminders app with the page, and if I click on it, take me right back to where I left off, same paragraph and everything. I think that's pretty neat. Siri, by the way, now is trained to your voice, so people can't mess with you anymore. It used to be Siri was, you would say, "Hey Siri," and everybody's phone would chirp up. Now you have to train it to your voice, which I guess it doesn't do away with those fake activations all the time, but it really does help. So yeah, a lot of improvements in Siri. Again, hand in hand with watchOS 2, which was supposed to launch the same day, but I guess there was a bug in the installer and they had to delay it. And it only just came out yesterday, actually. watchOS 2 now allows Siri to control some items on the phone. But watchOS 2 also allows for native applications on the phone itself. And it will connect to Wi-Fi autonomously from the phone. So you can do things now with the watch without the phone even nearby, whereas before you had to have the phone with you all the time. So there's an enhancement. What else in iOS 9? Oh, they reduced the cost of their iCloud services. I touched on this a few minutes ago. I was paying $3.99 for 250 gigabytes. They reduced that price to $2.99. They also added a 50 gigabyte per month storage option for 99 cents a month. I downgraded to that because I was only using, I think, 12 or 13 gigabytes of my storage. And that's for every single photo and video I own. That's all synced to the cloud on all of my devices. The originals, of course, live on my Mac at the house, but they're all up in the cloud, so I have access to them on my phone and my iPad. That is my iTunes Match service, which is all of my music in the cloud. And I don't mean like the iTunes Store music. This is music I own, which uploaded to Apple, which I can stream from anywhere. And documents, data, and backups. So all of my phone, iPad backups are up in the cloud. So I'm using a total of 13 gigs. They optimize the storage very well, it seems, because my photo library on my Mac, I think, takes up about 30 gigabytes. And in the cloud, it's taken up about 8 or 9. So they're doing something to optimize it. I'm not sure what. But this is why I will always keep the originals on my desktop, because if they are messing with something and changing the resolution of these things, I want to know about it. And I always want to have access to the originals. And if you can, even if you start using Google Photos, I would still advise, before you upload them to Google Photos, try to get a copy onto your PC. Try to get the originals onto your PC so you have them in a couple of places. I'm a huge proponent of backing up in 2 or 3 different places. And you should be too, because if you lose your photographs, you're not going to be happy. You know, those memories, you can't replace those. So yeah, be very careful. Back up, back up, back up. But yeah, Google Photos on iOS. You can again always subscribe to iCloud and upload your photos and videos there. Uh, then when you do that, you have an option on the phone to optimize phone storage, and it keeps the originals in the cloud and a thumbnail on your phone. So that's how you free up the space that way, or just use Google Photos, get rid of them completely. There's another app I want to talk about later. We'll talk about it after the break. That came with iOS 9. It was bundled with iOS. I also want to talk about this bundling thing, and I want to. I'm going to bitch on Apple for a little bit because of their something that happened in the news over the weekend. A lot of you have probably heard of it. Some of you may not have. We'll talk about that when I get back. We're coming up on a break. We're going to do a couple of commercials, couple of songs, and yeah, I'll be back after that. Again, you're listening to Guns and Gadgets Radio, 678-760-1556. Feel free to call in. Be back after the break. this fucking spider leg getting right up in my ass. I don't think anybody on YouTube gets to hear the commercials or the music. I would sing for you, but it's my first night and I'm not going to do it. Maybe next week, a little bit of karaoke. Going to do some cloud chasing instead. What's this shit? That's pathetic. And yeah, I'm just going to tell you, I know the guy that owns the station. His name's Scotty, DJ Scotty. He's been doing this for, I think the station's been around for 5 years now. It's in Conyers. Obviously, it goes out everywhere over the internet. He does his morning show every day, and he's been trying to get shows running each evening. And they announced Guns and Gadgets, and I asked to come in as a guest initially. So I came in for the first show, ended up being on every single show after that. Yeah, ended up being on every show after that. And now with Mike and Tyler taking a break from the show, I'm gonna do my best to run the thing, hopefully get some people in, hopefully find a permanent co-host, and get some phone calls, and run the show my way. Tonight was a bit of a scramble coming up with. I had some content, but I ended up having to come up with the content for the whole show, and it was kind of short notice, but I put enough stuff together. I think I can go a couple of hours. I'm sure I may not make it the 2.5, but Scott doesn't care. First night, he said it's, go an hour and a half. But that's how it started. I was on as a guest and ended up just being on each episode so far. It's been fun, and all the replays are on YouTube as well. You can always watch those and see what it was with Tyler and Mike. Tyler was the engineer. He sat here, did all the cable jiggling. Kind of like a minute 34. He did all the cable jiggling, so I knew nothing about this until this evening. Now the mouse is dead. Shit. All right, I'll use the trackpad. Now the mouse is dead. For the computer. That can't be good. I'll have to get Scott down here. So yeah, I'm trying to queue up all the commercials, all the music, talk for 20 minutes at a time, and drag it out as long as I can. And I'm a freaking mess, panicking. So I'm glad that it's coming over okay. And I'm assuming you heard that. And we're back. Bear with me a second. Trying to let Stephen know, or find out if Stephen wants to call in. I don't know all that. So, what was I going to talk about? I was going to bitch about Apple and then complain about Volkswagen. So let's start with Apple. Over the weekend, there was they found a lot of infected applications, a lot of applications infected with malware in the App Store. Now, I think this is possibly the first time this has happened on the Apple App Store. It happens all the time on the Google Play Store. This is the first time it's happened for Apple, and so far they've kind of washed their hands of it. Here's Stephen calling in. I want him to get in on this. Hey, you're on Guns and Gadgets.
Hey, good evening, brother. How's it going?
Good. Who's this?
Hi, it's Little Richard.
Hey, hello, Richard. How are you, mate?
Oh man, just kicking along.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you was talking a little bit about the iOS updates and whatnot.
Yeah.
Kind of digging some of the new changes. My dad seems to be good with them too. My dad is not technologically engineered for anything other than, quite literally nothing.
Right. Yeah. No. I hear you. I hear you. So what do you have? You have an iPhone, then, I'm guessing.
Correct. Yeah. My dad's got he's got a 5S. I got a 5C. My daughter's got a 5S, and my mom's got just a regular 5. But
Okay.
yeah, it seemed to be digging the new update. I mean, it's got some pretty cool features on it.
Yeah, it really does. I especially like the battery enhancements they've made, the optimizations to give you. Well, I for one have experienced much better battery life. How about you?
Absolutely, yeah. My daughter, she digs that the most because she always kicks it all the way to the end.
Yep.
So,
did you?
Yeah, it's definitely.
Now, have you ran into any space constraints on your phone?
And I wonder if this might be a space constraint, but what my issue is like if I go into Facebook and I go into an album, I think that it doesn't allow me to open the album because it just kicks out of and it's happened on more than just Facebook. But if I go into anything that has a large amount of pictures that's accessible, in a different way, it kicks me out of that app. So I think that it's possible that would be, maybe a memory constraint.
Yeah, it sounds like it's running out.
I'm hoping that it's just the app.
Yeah, it sounds like it's maybe running out of RAM in that instance.
Yeah.
Which is that's something we all struggle with every day on these little things because they include so little RAM on them. But yeah, so many people didn't, when the update from iOS 7 to iOS 8 came about, it was something ridiculous, like 4 gigabytes of free space in order to do the upgrade.
Exactly.
And it left so
this
many
one, I
people.
think was like 1 point. Yeah. I think this one was only like 1.8 on my phone,
it
according
was.
to what it said.
Yeah, 1.8 this time around. But it left so many people out in the cold that had no, how am I going to free up the space? What do I do? So they start deleting things that they ideally should be able to keep. So, I use iCloud personally. I'm using Google Photos as well now. So I now have everything I own up in the cloud twice. And I'm going to continue to do that, and I recommend it for everybody. Hopefully, you'll give it a shot if you ever need to free up the space.
Rock and roll sounds good to me.
All right, brother. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Did you happen to catch the actual Apple event, the keynote? Did you see the new phone?
No, I didn't get the opportunity to.
Okay.
No, it was one of those things I missed.
Yeah.
But,
like I said, I don't have any.
Cool.
I don't have any plans to upgrade to it, to be honest with you. I think the only major new feature is the 3D touch. It's obviously faster than the current phones, but my phone is plenty fast enough. So I'm going to live with my 6 and go from there.
There you go. Yeah, I did hit a YouTube video that was talking about the pressured touch, as they called it, or something where you would touch it and then hold it for a second, or press harder, and it would realize that you wanted to go into that app or go into this, this part. And I thought that was pretty neat. But something I gotta have. It sounds to me like it's double layered technology that just may be good for the time, but it just seems a bit flaky to me for now.
Yeah, I think it adds some nice levels of interaction with the device. I noticed they also renamed it. Like I say, it's called Force Touch on the watch, and
Force Touch.
yeah,
That's what it was,
they've
yeah.
renamed it to 3D Touch on the phone. And I think
Oh, that's cool.
I think they were sick of people saying, "I'm going to force touch the shit out of you" or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
All right. Well, hey, I'm going to go on and I'm going to complain about Apple for a little bit, and then I'm going to complain
rock
about
on.
Volkswagen. So let me give my rant, and if you want to call back in, and if you have anything you want to add, just feel free. All right, buddy?
You got it, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks for listening.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye. Little Richard, one of our good friends at Just for From Radio. All right, let me get Smitty to call in, because I'm going to bitch about Apple. I want to know what he has to think about this. I also want to know where he stands on Volkswagen, because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Anyway, let me get back. Over the weekend, here he comes. Hey, brother.
Hey.
Barely hear you. Get up to your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Everybody, my friend Steven. Liberal sack of shit, but a great guy. So anyway,
socialist sack of shit.
Sorry, socialist sack of shit. So
there we are.
I'm guessing you heard about this this App Store malware that
I
happened.
did.
Okay.
I did.
So let me just tell the listeners that don't know. Over the weekend, a security researching firm called Palo Alto Networks found applications in the App Store that were infected with a malware that they called X-Ghost something or other. They named it. And turns out what had happened, developers in China, now these supposedly are legitimate developers who were sick and tired of downloading Apple's developer tools, Xcode, from Apple servers because they were so slow. So they found a third party to download these tools from. Well, the tools they were downloading were hacked. They were infected with malware. These guys went ahead and developed their apps, and a lot of these are big name legit applications. Submitted them to the App Store. They got approved by Apple to go into the App Store, and these applications are now, they estimate, been downloaded 100 million times by different users, primarily in China, with basically spyware that collects information off of your phone and sends it to a third party. I don't think anyone's identified this third party yet, but they're taking, they believe, all the way down to your username and password for your iTunes account. Apple have pretty much washed their hands of it. And I'm of two minds about this. I think Apple have a responsibility. Apple curate the App Store. You can't get an app in the store unless Apple inspect it, vet it, and test it, right? So they have a responsibility to make sure that everything going onto the App Store is a legit application, that it's clean, and that they protect our security. Their response right now is, these developers downloaded tools from a third party. They bypass security on the Mac called Gatekeeper to install it and run it and develop their applications. We're pulling the apps from the store, and we will work with developers to get them the correct tools. But that's pretty much the extent of Apple's. I don't know. That's as much responsibility as they've accepted so far. What do you think about that, Stephen? What responsibility do you think Apple hold here?
Well, obviously they hold, the lion's share of the responsibility. I think there's three, just going maybe into the more specifics of what you were talking about. The two big, press releases or interviews that I saw, one was from Christine Monahan, who said in an email to Reuters that she wouldn't say what steps they were taking, or what steps iPhone and iPad users could take to figure out whether their device was affected or not.
Yeah, we're completely in
And
the dark.
exactly. And that's a huge problem. If you are taking the responsibility, or if you should be taking the responsibility for something like this, it's the onus is on you to tell the people that have been loyal customers to you for years what you can do to fix the situation. So that's a huge problem.
Yeah, major problem. You know,
Um,
they have said, I've seen a number of reports where they say it's primarily affecting people in China, but that word
Right.
primarily concerns me because that means other people are affected.
Right, exactly. And then, you know, two other real quick things are they wouldn't say exactly how many apps had been affected or had been pulled, or not that I saw in any of the press releases, which is also concerning. And the third thing is this is a group of people who released this infected, you know, app developing software, who obviously they know that people are looking for other things to use to develop Apple apps because the one from Apple is too slow or they don't like it. I mean, this seems like a group of not insiders, but people who are very well aware of the how this process works.
Yeah, well,
so it's something that we're going to have to stay vigilant on.
Yeah, now they have to use Xcode. That's the only framework you can use to develop for the iPhone. Their concern was it was too slow to download from Apple, so they were downloading it from a third-party server, probably Hillary's. They were downloading it. They were downloading it from a third-party server because it was quicker and they were able to get their tools and updates faster. Now, on a Mac, you know this because Briley has a Mac. When you try to run an application from a third party, it pops up a warning and says,
right.
You know, this is, or I think it will even go as far as to say this is malware. Don't run this. And they were bypassing this warning. So, you know, I think the developers themselves bear a lot of the responsibility here.
Absolutely.
Earlier today, I went as far as to say, I don't care how big these developers are. They intentionally bypass security and put us at risk, and they should be banned from the App Store, period. Because I don't believe that they can be trusted from this point on. If they're going to take a shortcut, and put our personal information at risk, which puts our identity at risk, then I don't think they should be able to provide apps to us.
Sure. Well, yeah, we'll see what kind of countermeasures Apple takes. I mean, I don't know how soon or to what effect those are going to be if we can't even figure out the basics of this right now. But hopefully, it's something substantial very soon.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll see. Me personally, I don't think anything will happen, and Apple will continue operating the way it has. I don't even think they're going to put out a list of applications that were affected. I think they're just going to remove them from the App Store. They may send out an email to people that downloaded them and say, hey, delete this application. But I don't know. I don't even trust them to do that, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. Well, at this point, I don't either. I mean, the first we've already discussed the information that they're not giving us. I think if they had any concern for their loyal customers, that's something they would have done already.
Yep, agreed.
So
agreed. And it's been what is it, Tuesday? So it happened Saturday, I think. So they've had plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean the time has been there.
Yeah,
that's not the issue here.
Yep. Apple, what you gonna do? Luckily, the list of applications I looked through, I think they listed 43, and I didn't have any of them. But now I see the security researcher is saying as many as 400 applications could be affected,
right?
And nobody has released that list. So
exactly,
you know, step one should be releasing that damn list.
Exactly.
What you gonna do?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, did you upgrade your operating system yet?
I did. Yeah, I'm very much enjoying the upgrade.
Good.
Like you were talking about earlier, the low power mode. I really like that.
Hmm.
I, however, do use the email client quite a lot. So I just have to be mindful to refresh or to turn it off every once in a while and refresh and see if I have any emails. But other than that, I mean, it's a great feature.
Yeah. Now,
I am a
let me ask you: do you use the built-in email or do you use Gmail app?
I use Outlook.
You use Outlook.
So I use
Okay.
the
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
so
You're
it's the
that's right. You're fucking corporate man now.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Smitty. By the way,
Yeah.
guys, Smitty works for one of the largest law firms in Atlanta. If you
That's
need
right.
if you need representation, hit him up.
That's right.
Don't hit him up.
I can give you unlawful legal advice. Not a
Absolutely,
problem.
absolutely. He'll have you in jail in 10 minutes flat. No, he wouldn't. He's brilliant.
Absolutely.
Hey, listen, we got a few minutes till the break. You went to Music Midtown over the weekend. Tell me about Elton John.
I wish I could. I heard a couple songs from across the way. I did not go to Elton John.
Oh,
much to
fuck
your,
me. You were
disappointment and shame. Yeah,
you were watching Drake.
I did. I went to Drake.
How was
Yeah.
that?
He put on a great show.
Did he really?
Atlanta was one of the places where he began his career. And so, he made his intentions known that he was going to put on a good show. And I think he did, complete with fireworks and an extended set. So I think he really delivered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my problem with Drake
So-
is that he's tone deaf.
I think there's definitely some audio wizardry going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that is a tone deaf motherfucker right there. But
yeah, otherwise a great event.
but
Yeah.
he's huge. Yeah, so yeah, and honestly, I can't blame you because I've seen Elton John a number of times. I was lucky enough to see him when he was young enough to do more than 20 minutes of performance.
Right.
Although I was,
Right, exactly.
yeah. Although I was looking at the schedule and it showed that he was doing a 2-hour set, which isn't bad for an old guy. But
Yeah, I don't know if he carried through the 2 hours, but yeah.
yeah. Of course, all he does is sit at a piano, so he's okay.
Exactly.
All right. So I don't know if you want to hold on through the break or call back in. You at work or you at home now?
No, I'm at home. I can just hold on through the break if that's fine.
Yeah, that's cool. And when we get back, I
Okay.
want to talk about Volkswagen because
Yes,
that's
please.
that's a doozy. Then I want to talk
Insanity.
about Donald Trump and his. I don't know if you got to read his position paper. I'm sure you did.
I have got to read it. I've delved pretty far into it.
Yeah, but I also want to talk about Bernie and his position on the Second Amendment as well.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
I
Yeah,
think-
great article out on that today, by the way.
Yeah, really. Send me a link. I'll have to look at
Yep.
it. But I think people
All
might be surprised at Bernie Sanders' position on the second.
Very surprised.
Let me see here. What do we got? We got a couple of commercials. Actually, a few commercials. No, we don't. We got a commercial and then a couple of songs, and then we'll be back after this break. You there, dude?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to press auto here somewhere. There we go. I don't know if that's playing. Yeah. it is. Oh shit! I need to get a song in here quickly. There we go. Damn, this is difficult.
Yeah, well, so far it seems to be going pretty well.
It's tough, man. I'll tell you. Trying to pay attention to all this. Now, what song do you want to hear?
How about some Elton John?
I already played one. Although
Oh, you already played one?
You know
Okay.
what? We talked about him. I'm going to play another.
Do it. I'm a fan of My Father's Gun, but that's just me.
What is My Father's Gun?
That's a song he actually hasn't performed live since the 80s. It's not a rock opera. I know those are your favorite, but it's a good one. You play. You're the host.
Yeah, rock operas are my favorite. No, it's true. I'm gonna play some Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. I haven't heard this
Oh yeah,
in
let's
a
hear it.
long time. Say, say, say. That'll be awesome. And that'll buy me a few minutes. So didn't go see Elton John, huh?
No, I didn't. I had to go turn up at Drake.
Did all of you go
But,
see Drake? Did anyone go to watch Elton?
No, Rebecca and hold on one second. Okay, Rebecca and Rob went to see Elton John.
Oh, they did. They enjoy it.
Yeah. I didn't talk to him after that, actually.
Hold on a second. The boss just came
okay.
down here. Hey.
Remember, y'all are still 100% live.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I know.
I was laughing. I was typing. But the difference too is your context.
Oh yeah.
If we were per side.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but look, when you come into commercials and stuff, just tell people, hey, remember you're listening to a little bit of the guy show. I don't think there's a problem, but this is a night show.
Gotcha.
I think the context, the way that you're able to do it versus how we do it. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. All right. Let me see here. Oh God, there's so much to look at. I need to find one more song because I got some time to kill.
Gotcha.
To make it to 2 hours, I have got to kill a little bit of time. Classic rock chill out. That sounds like a good playlist. Let's see what's on it.
But yeah,
go on to California. Led Zeppelin.
There we go.
That will.
Yeah, you got a great night for news with the gun issue, Trump, Sanders, and the VW stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. Volkswagen, man. What a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I liked also liked your joke that you posted.
Oh, let me find this before we go back on. Let me find this article on Bernie.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders.
Oh, the one I'm supposed to send to you?
Yeah, the Second Amendment.
Where should I send it?
And so you can just send it to my phone.
Okay.
I figure it'll be in. So the default search engine on this computer, fucking Yahoo. And it's
wow.
It's Google Chrome. It's Google Chrome with Yahoo as the default search. May as well be Alta Vista.
Yeah. Why not?
Bernie Metz. All right, so I need to go to Google News. Google News. And we're still going out live on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, I heard Scotty come on and say that.
Okay. Google News, Bernie Sanders. Bernie greeted Pope Francis, probably with a gas chamber.
Old Bernie.
Yeah.
Carrying on that tradition.
Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. Bernie Sanders guns.
Sending it to you now.
Here we go. Is it Think Progress?
Yeah, it's Hillary's secondary campaign site, Think Progress.
Yeah. So voters raise concern about Bernie Sanders' record on guns.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Let me try and skim this real quick. We got a little while. I put on Led Zeppelin. That's going to last a day.
Okay.
Where did my Google Hangouts go? There it is. Oh, we got 4 viewers on YouTube. Hello, YouTube viewers.
Hello, YouTubers.
All right, let's see here. I love this, the best platform for marginalized people, in quotes, but the worst record on gun control.
Yeah, well, there's a certain aspect that they're missing when they talk about worst aspect on gun control. And I mean, some crazy parallels that we can draw to Hillary Clinton when the show gets back on. I want to save them for that, but
Here's the thing: I bet there are parallels to Donald Trump of 2 years ago.
oh, you mean when he wasn't his gun control stance didn't exactly mirror
when he
the
was
letter he released today?
Yeah, when he was in full
Yeah.
support of the weapons ban. Yeah.
Exactly. Kind of, but these are kind of different parallels that Hillary supporters really aren't taking on board. But I'll bring that up a little later.
All right. Well, let me go grab a beer out of the fridge. I'll be right back.
All right.
If you want, you can hold on, or you can call back in 5 minutes. It's up to you, brother.
I'll just put the phone on speaker and set it right here.
All right. Brilliant.
So I can. All right. Bye.
Okay. We'll be back from commercial in a minute 30. Oh. This is unbelievably stressful. Thank God for Guinness. My mate Guinness. Oh shit. All right, so we'll talk about Volkswagen and then Donald and Bernie.
All right, sounds good.
Get both points of view out there. Because my show is nothing if not fair and balanced.
What is tonight? Right wing Republican and Nazi, not left, right, and center. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's not. There is no center. No, you're not. I you know, you're not bad.
I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
All right, we got like 6 seconds.
All right.
And we're back. Guns and Gadgets Radio. The number 678-760-1556. I'm your host, Alex, and on the line we still have Stephen Smitty.
Hello.
And what are we talking? Volkswagen. Let's talk about the Germans. The Germans' latest attempt to gas everybody being foiled. So
amazing.
So anyway, Stephen, jump in whenever you want and correct me if I'm wrong. But it was the EPA discovered that Volkswagen in their diesel cars, or at least some of their diesel cars, when they are plugged into testing equipment, OBD testing equipment, they enable the emission system, which, you know, cuts the power and makes the car run clean effectively. And every other time their emission control system is disabled, and I've seen numbers as high as they're putting out as much as 40 times the allowable level of emissions. Is that right?
Oh yeah, that's what I've seen.
Okay. Other than the obvious world domination German thing, why the hell would they do this?
Well, I think the immediate answer is profits. I think when you have a company that earlier this year, overtook Toyota for the largest auto manufacturer, you're obviously, you know, you're profit driven. And when you see a place that you could cut a corner, I think you take it. And even though they've wiped out their expected profits for this coming year, they set aside some ridiculous number of money. I think it was like 6 billion euros to cover this. So it's not like they didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I also don't like the way they've done that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. I think, you know, they market these diesel vehicles as clean diesel, right? Now, I'm from England. I love a good diesel. They're fantastic cars, a lot of torque, great gas mileage. Volkswagen are known as a company that solves engineering problems. Now, they're very proud of the gas mileage, or the diesel mileage as it would be, that their cars get. And obviously, when the emission system is enabled, it lowers power and they're less efficient. Now, the first question I would have is, how much less efficient? Are we talking 2%? Are we talking, you know, are we talking going from 50 miles a gallon to, you know, 47 miles a gallon? Or are we talking 20, 30% loss in efficiency? Because that's a big deal. And
exactly,
that, you know, the $6.5 billion that they took a charge for, which, you know, they can write, I hate it because they can write it off on their taxes. You and I don't get to do that. If we get a ticket, we don't get to write it off on our taxes. They do. So they took a $6.5 billion charge. I think that's just a drop in the bucket. Of course. The U.S. federal government's talking about roughly around 18 billion. Every single state, especially California, is going to sue the hell out of them. And it's only a matter of time before the first individual goes in front of a judge, and that judge says, yeah, you're entitled to a refund.
Right. Exactly.
The floodgates have opened. I think they're in a lot of trouble. I don't think it's going to be the end of Volkswagen, but It's gonna hurt badly.
It certainly won't be the end of Volkswagen, the largest auto manufacturer on the face of the earth. But another aspect that we need to keep in mind, especially with the economic scene the way it is between the euro and the dollar, Volkswagen and auto trading in general accounts for 20% of Germany's exports. Now that's a big chunk of their economy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking about a country that's currently holding together the EU, that's a big deal. And
Yeah.
so that's another aspect that we're going to need to think about. And just a quick little funny thing is if you go to Google and you type in VW, the first thing that comes up is VW stock. A lot of people are worried about this.
Yeah, and I would be too. And it's not just Volkswagen. Think about all the companies. What do they have? They hold 11 over other car companies, I think. I believe it's Bugatti,
Audi.
Porsche, Audi, and I know the Audi A3 is affected by this, and that's, I believe, the best-selling Audi. I don't know. This is a very big deal. I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be difficult to get by. 18 billion from the federal government. You know, California is, well, you remember the tobacco company settlement. That was hundreds of billions of dollars.
Huge.
Yep. And California is serious about their air quality standards. So, I mean, the Nazis are going to go Nazi on the Nazis, basically.
Of course. Big Nazi circle here.
Yeah, it is. Big old Nazi circle. Yeah, I don't know. They're going to have a hard time. All right, so Donald Trump. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm going to talk about this man. So he released a position paper on the Second Amendment, on his, his stance on guns and gun control. Yep. And it all sounds great to, I think, to, your average Donald Trump supporter. I imagine it sounds fantastic. There's an aspect of it I don't like. But here's my problem with it. It's a complete reversal to his positions only 2 years ago, right? Now, this guy, this guy Trump, he's best buds with Banimal Bloomberg, who want, by the way, I just made that up, by the way. Like Banimal Bloomberg, he wants every gun gone, right? Yep. And Trump's been on his side. I'm going to say ever since Bloomberg started, Mayors Against All Guns, whatever the hell they call it, right. Mayors Against Common Sense. And now all of a sudden, 2 years later, he puts out a paper that says, there's no reason for the government to tell anybody what kind of gun they can own. He does want to re-implement or extend, I don't know which, I can't remember, the harsher penalties for gun crimes, right?
Yeah,
there's a
Project
name for
Exile.
Thank you, Project Exile. And I do have a problem with that because, I in my opinion, it's saying, well, murder's bad, but it's worse if you do it with a gun. Or, rape is bad, but it's worse if you do it with a gun. I think the crime is the crime. It's like any hate crime legislation. I disagree with that too. The crime is the crime. You should be punished for committing the crime, not based on what they consider to be the level of severity of the crime. What do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very interesting take on it. I certainly didn't consider that when I first read it. I think something that goes hand in hand with that is, they put up a bunch of billboards when Project Exile began saying, you own an illegal, or you are in possession of an illegal firearm, you will do hardcore time. And so if you're looking to stem the tide of violent crime, that is, I don't know the numbers on it, but I'm sure that violent crime is somehow correlated with, a firearm being involved in the crime. Mm-hmm. If you try and cut out one of those variables, you might very well cut out the other. I have no idea what the numbers are on that, but yeah, it's an interesting take on it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, my take on it obviously comes from that of a gun enthusiast. I like them. I think we all have the right to own them, and we should. And I think whenever my side gets behind a policy like that, they're demonizing the gun. And
Right.
I don't believe we now, I understand it on the left. I get it, on my side of the equation, though, I don't understand why we would endorse a policy that demonizes the weapon rather than the criminal committing the crime. But hell, that's me.
Sure.
So you're a supporter, Bernie. You've volunteered. You've volunteered locally in Georgia,
Yep.
for his campaign. You're not one of these. I've known you a long time. You're not a raging lunatic communist. So tell me now, bearing in mind this is Guns and Gadgets, I'm not going to ask you
Right.
about gadgets because the last fucking gadget Bernie owned was the phonograph. So, but
Right. That's
but-
actually factually true.
yeah. So, but I will ask you about Bernie's position on guns, and and we're on the air. We got 10 minutes. Go ahead and talk to us about Bernie Sanders, and
Okay.
why a listener of Guns and Gadgets might want to consider him.
Okay. Well, just as a quick, quip, if I could just take maybe 60 seconds and talk about a funny thing in Trump's release today, Second Amendment release.
Absolutely, go for it.
All right. Well, two things that struck me right off the bat were there's a sentence in there that says it's been said that the Second Amendment is America's first freedom,
Yeah.
which is a comedic sentence in itself, patently untrue. I don't think I have to go any further on that. I just thought made me chuckle. And the second thing he says is we're the only country in the world, something like we're the only country that has a Second Amendment, which is patently untrue. It's false. And I don't know how much work they put into this, but the thing that I did like was one of the headers was fix our broken mental health system. I'm a big supporter of responsible mental health in the United States, and I think that as iconoclastic as Trump can be, he definitely took a common sense approach to the mental health system in the U.S. and how it correlates with gun violence. So I did want to draw a highlight to that. If anybody hasn't read it, certainly go check it out.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Go on.
Yeah. So getting back to Bernie Sanders, this is a very interesting issue when it comes to Bernie Sanders. People need to keep in mind that he has been for not most of his, well, yeah, I guess most of his political career, he's been a senator, which means he has been advocating for the rights of a certain population of the United States, in his case, Vermont. Now, this Think Progress piece brings up his voting record on bills, and if you are a gun supporter in the United States, even though he has a poor NRA rating, you would probably look at his voting record and call it at least common sense.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Vermont, he's voting in a way that his constituents want him to. Let's see, he voted against the Brady bill,
Yep.
which is probably still fresh in people's minds because it was such a big deal. He voted in 2007 for a bill that would prohibit United Nations or foreign aid to be used for gun control.
Yep. And God bless his commie ass for doing that.
Right, exactly. 2009 he voted to allow check bags on Amtrak, which is that kind of common sense approach to gun control. And what Think Progress calls his most controversial vote was in 2005, was in favor of an NRA-backed bill that it prevented victims of gun violence from being able to sue gun manufacturers for negligence.
Yeah.
Now, people look at this record, I think you and I, and say, you know what, that's a pretty common sense voting record when it comes to guns, especially for somebody who's a self-described democratic socialist.
Mm-hmm.
But the left, who has seemingly, I should say the mainstream left, who has seemingly already put Hillary Clinton on the presidential elect pedestal, is calling him a gun nut,
right,
which is absolutely insane. Hillary Clinton also, when she was the senator for New York, also said multiple times that states should be able to decide for themselves what gun restrictions should be, and several times voted against any federal oversight when it came to gun restrictions. Although, she did vote for many gun control measures that we would call ridiculous. But that's one of the things between her and Bernie Sanders. So, Yeah, when it comes to Bernie Sanders, he just he votes for his constituents, which is something that people should keep in mind when he runs for the presidency.
Yeah, and the latest polls
Yeah.
show that the overwhelming majority of Americans believe that we don't need more gun controls, and
No.
I happen to think, like you say, Bernie represents his constituents. At that point in time, he'll be representing the whole nation. I not that I would ever vote for Bernie, but of the Democratic candidates, he would be the one I'd be most comfortable with when it came to the Second Amendment.
Sure.
Personally, that's me.
Sure.
I hate to say I would be more comfortable with him than Donald Trump.
Right.
But I mean, God, that man, Trump just flip flops too much. Bernie's been consistent. It's been a history of consistent voting to protect the Second Amendment rights of citizens. Donald Trump has
Right.
a history of saying, no, let's ban guns. And that bothers me.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. And you watch Jeb's not most recent, but I think his second most recent attack on Donald Trump, and it's basically a highlight reel of all the times in the past several years that Trump has declared himself a Democrat.
Yep.
Has said that he is friends with and loves the Clintons.
Mm-hmm.
Has said that he would appoint Clinton as the head negotiator of the Iranian nuclear talks that we know, to put it mildly, did not go well.
That's right.
So, and this coming to Sanders again, this proclivity to represent your constituents, I think, would transpose to the presidency, and that he understands that people who live in rural Vermont or Montana go hunting. They have very low crime rates. They're responsible with their gun ownership. That's not the case in, say, inner city Chicago. And he understands that difference.
Yep.
So that's important to know.
Yeah. And that's what your representative should do. It should represent the majority of the people in the state, the majority opinion, be that Republican or Democrat. He's obviously a Democratic senator. Gun rights are, I'm not going to say they're predominantly a Republican issue. I think they're predominantly a Republican voting issue, but I do believe they're important to all Americans. And I think Bernie's been consistent on that. And this is what I've always said about Bernie Sanders. I may not, I may think he's a geriatric tool, but Bernie is. Here's the thing: Bernie is Bernie. He's always been straightforward. He's always been himself. He's never shied away from his record, and he is who he is. And there's very few politicians you can say that about.
Exactly. That's important for voters to keep in mind coming ahead. The Democratic candidate who is in second place, who is the only Democratic female right now. I won't mention her name again on this broadcast, but she is the exact opposite of a Bernie Sanders when it comes to standing by your record. You can start with gay marriage when she was a Democratic senator. I don't want to say flip-flop. It's okay for someone to change their mind, but she has a record of consistently going where the political winds blow. Gay marriage, XL Keystone Pipeline, Iraq War. These are all things, huge issues that she can't seem to make her mind up on, and that Hillary supporters have a very short memory when it comes to things like that. They point to her either talking about it or refusing to talk about it now, but don't like it when you bring up her past.
Yep, I agree. She's a bit of an opportunist, but you know who I want to run on my side of the political spectrum. I'm not sure how they would do against Bernie. This man is. It's amazing me how well he's doing. Little guy from fucking Vermont. Who would have known? Bless his little cotton socks. Yeah. Anyway, we're coming up on a break. And then I think I have one more. I'm trying to look. Sorry, everybody, bear with me. I'm trying to look at the. What time is it? 9 o'clock. Yeah, I think I have one more session after this. And I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about. Steven, stay on the line. We'll figure something out.
All right.
If you want to, anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So yeah, everybody, that's Bernie and Donald. Yikes. And Volkswagen. Shit. Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the right button to press here. There it is. All right. We'll be back after this break. Shit. I think I missed it.
Miss what?
I cut off part of the commercial.
Fantastic.
Okay. I need to get rid of one of these. For some reason, I have 3 songs in this queue. I need to remove that. Oh no. Oh, I hope I can control
What?
Z. Oh no. Shit, I just deleted my segment. Okay, I put it back in. All right.
Perfect.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
A+ hosting.
Oh, I'm not very good at this. I am not very good at this at all. Okay, so I need to remove that one. Remove. Okay, there we go. So there's sections in here, right? It tells me what's coming up in the queue. The next one's
Right.
Bon Jovi, and then Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, and then Guns and Gadgets for 19 minutes 13 seconds. I deleted the Guns and Gadgets part, so that would have been all my talking. Damn.
You're gonna need that segment.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. All right, what do I have left on my list? Have you tried out Apple News, the new app?
I have.
I do want to talk about that as the app of the week.
Yeah.
Oh no, obviously it's only going to help iOS users. We've talked about Trump. We talked about Volkswagen. Photos is all done. I just haven't talked much about guns tonight.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's go to my Fizzle book. Yes, I said it.
Fizzle book.
Cannot be unsaid. Oh, look at that. Scotty made me a new banner and page and everything for Guns and Gadgets.
There you go.
Oh, that's sweet. How do I get to my page? How do I get to my Facebook from? Oh, shit. I don't know how to use Facebook on a PC. How do I get to my own? I don't know how to. There we go. All right, found it.
You got it.
All right, I want to see what's in my timeline from the old NRA. Okay, that's not my timeline. Oh, Jesus Christ. Timeline. There we go. Woo! Got it. Yo, Bernie, so when are you going flyering again?
What's that?
When are you going to go flyer, handing out flyers again for Bernie?
We are going to flyer the Atlanta LGBT parade event weekend. We're going to be doing that.
When's that?
That is, I can't remember. It might be October 10th.
Okay.
I think. Can't remember off the top of my head. But we're really looking. She was coming. Hillary was. She was coming to Atlanta. We were going to flyer that. She canceled that event.
You were going to flyer that with Bernie flyers?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I would actually go to that.
Yeah. We were going to get out. We had some people ready to go out and chalk the pavement the night before with big bright Bernie support Bernie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But she canceled her event. So. But yeah, the next thing would be the LGBT.
Okay. When we go back on, tell people about that, because I mean there are obviously some Democrats that listen to this show.
Sure.
God knows why.
Why Democrats listen to a guns and gadgets? Well, socialists listen to a guns and gadgets.
Yeah. Well, that's because you want to take you want to know where the guns are so you can take them.
Yeah, so I can take them all.
That's right.
All your guns belong to me.
Yeah. As you like, I thought that little German joke was funny. And Germans trying
Yeah,
to
that was
trying to
funny.
gas everyone again.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Foiled.
You can't stop them.
Violent crime in America has dropped 51% as Americans bought 170 million guns.
Amazing.
Let's see who the source of this is. And I fully believe in, correlation there.
Oh, well, yeah, correlation and causation go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's FBI data.
Really?
Yeah, new data from the FBI and ATF was presented by the NRA, which showed Americans have purchased 170 million new guns since 1991. As a result,
Wow.
they say as a result, violent crime in America has not skyrocketed as communist gun grabbers would like us to believe. Instead, the number of violent crimes has plummeted a whopping 51%. That's
Wow.
nice.
That
Well,
is
that's
nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's got to be something. Obviously, I believe it's because we have a ton of guns.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the sociological data is on that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yep. Man, I got messages coming in left, right, and center. I got my eye on this, whatever you call it. Well, it's a computer, but it's the deck. I got all the audio.
Sound like Bernie.
All the audio equipment over here. I got 1, 2, 3, 5 screens I'm trying to keep an eye on when I include my phone and my iPad. It's, dude, this is stressful. I can see how Scott, when he was doing the show initially by himself, I can see how it was really stressful.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
You'll have to actually come in one night if you can make it on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I can make it if I know ahead of time. So if you tell me a Tuesday to come in, I could make arrangements.
Okay. Well, you have an open invitation for any Tuesday. That's
Oh, well, thanks. Appreciate it.
Because obviously you're a good conversation.
Appreciate it. I'll take you up on that.
All right. So what are we going to talk about for the last section?
Let's see. I was trying to look up
Crime.
New gun news.
Crime down 51%. As a result, and I am going to say that.
Not technically correct, but all right.
I am going to say it. Americans.
All right.
Buying 170 million guns. 170 million guns. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's true. It was on Facebook.
Well, it must be true then.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously understand there's no correlation there, and it's merely a coincidence that 170 million guns were sold and crime rates have dropped by 51%. But I bet if they actually did some research, they would find there was a correlation there.
Right. Possibly, yeah.
But obviously, we don't do that kind of research. Although, no, wait, we do now. It used to be illegal to use taxpayer money for that kind of research, but Obama changed that by executive order, correct?
I'm not sure on that, actually.
Yeah, I think he did. Now, I think he authorized the CDC to research things like that. Of course, they're not going to come up with good numbers.
Well, they go where the data leads.
That's
Speaking
right.
of maybe gun news, local, Marietta, Georgia PDs go to backup pistol Glock 42.
Say again?
Marietta, Georgia, the police department in Marietta, Georgia, has switched to a new go-to backup pistol, the Glock 42.
Oh yeah, they did that when the 42 came out when I bought mine.
Oh, okay.
They haven't switched. I'm surprised they haven't switched to the 43, because usually what happened. We'll talk about that actually. Bring that up when we go back on.
All right.
Because that's kind of a insider trading kind of deal going on there between Glock and
Gotcha.
Marietta PD. I don't know if you can hear the music. Bohemian Rhapsody is playing. It's kind of awesome. I have to start singing in a minute.
Fantastic.
Let me see. I got oh god, I got 15 unread texts.
I think you set a record for viewers. 5 viewers. That's the most I've ever seen.
All right, so we got a sponsor asking about something called Flick of the Wrist technology. Flick of the Wrist technology. What is that? Oh, it's Android Wear. Okay. You know, I need to get me an Android Wear watch. Keith is Keith, if you're still listening, when you get your Huawei watch, let me know, and I want you to call into the show and talk about it. And I want to know what this flick of the wrist thing is. Oh, I have an incoming call. I'll have to take that in a minute. I think Keith's listening. I don't know. Could be wrong. All right. 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're going back. And we're back. Guns and Gadgets. 678-760-1556. Still have Stephen on the line with us. We're going to talk about something that Stephen is vehemently going to disagree with. And honestly, I somewhat disagree with, but so the FBI and the ATF published some data today. And the data showed that since 1991, violent crime has dropped 51%, which is great, obviously. The NRA obviously said it's as a result of Americans purchasing 170 million guns since 1991. I agree. Now, you know, correlation, causation. Yeah, I understand. You know, it needs a lot more research, and that's something I was talking to Stephen about during the break. The research aspect, but I am going to agree. I'm going to agree with the NRA that there is a direct correlation between the number of gun sales, the number of guns in private hands, and the subsequent drop in the violent crime rate, and then in the violent crime rate. Stephen, I'm going to guess you disagree. Oh, he's gone. Oh, that was him. He was calling back, and I lost him. Let me see if I can get him back. Yeah, but I am. Oh, I don't know how. This is an Android phone, and I don't know how to use it. Stephen, call in. I saw that was you. Sorry, brother. I don't know how to use this phone. Oh my God. There are all kind of icons on this. What is? Okay. I don't know what this is. Jesus God. Oh, here we go. Answer. Hello.
Hey, Stephen here.
Hey, man. Sorry. Yeah, got disconnected.
No problem.
And I tried calling you back. There's an Android phone on the desk here, which is the studio phone. I could not figure out how to use it. Yes, and I'm
Perfect.
doing
Well,
it.
I was
And I'm hosting a show called Guns and Fucking Gadgets. For Christ's sake, I couldn't figure
amazing.
out the damn Android phone.
Wow.
So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
heard what you were saying.
Okay, and I'm gonna guess you disagree with me, right?
Well, you have to fall back on the scientific mantra that causation does not imply correlation does not imply causation, or either way around. It's always easy to look at a piece of data like this and say, well, this obviously caused this. But
Right.
if you think about the possibility that the new variable affected some other variable that we haven't studied or don't know about, it becomes, more feasible and realistic just to say, maybe we really don't know what caused this. So
Yeah.
important.
Again, I think it's feasible. And again, as a staunch gun rights supporter, I'm gonna go on the side of the NRA here and say absolutely there's a damn correlation. But I do think it warrants a bit more study. Now, it used to be the Congress passed a law that said you could not use taxpayer dollars to fund research to further gun control. And
Right.
Obama did away with that by executive order. So I'm going to assume it actually opens the gates for the CDC to actually study this and investigate it. My problem with that is if they do come up with a correlation between the number of guns and lower crime, it will never get released. It will never be reported.
Well, I think that's I don't think that's true at all. I think at the CDC, you have a group of very dedicated scientists, whether it be, biological sciences or public health, and the data is what the data is. And if that's what gets released.
Yeah, let me just throw this out there. Stephen used to work at Emory in a research lab. I imagine you had dealings probably with the CDC, and you may even know some people that work at the CDC. So anyway, that's a little of Stephen's background. So he is actually very well qualified to talk on this.
Yeah, well, I think you can look at multiple instances of data being released that were unpopular. Take Andrew Wakefield and the vaccination studies that he came out with, I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, saying the vaccinations cause autism. People didn't like, obviously, that study, but hey, it was published, it was major news, and it came out. Now, it was later retracted.
Yeah, didn't it take
because it was a bogus study.
Yeah, didn't it take the Lancet like 30 years to retract that, though?
No, nowhere near 30 years. No, because this was all a very quick ordeal. I think people spotted very quickly that this was, a bullshit study. But the point is that even when there's unpopular data, it's still published. Now, who am I to say that there's not some, cabal at the CDC saying no pro-gun data should be released? But in my experience, that's just not how it works.
Well, let's hope not. Excuse me. Oh, gosh. Let's hope you're right. Well, like I say, I do think this warrants a little further research to see what's going on and see if there really is a correlation between the number of guns in private hands and lower crime rates.
Yeah.
So what else has been happening in the news in relation to guns? I am so ill prepared for this show. It's not even funny.
You'll be on it next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Next week I'll have the whole week to prepare. And hopefully
exactly.
I'll be able to line up a couple of guests. I want to talk about a gadget here, and I don't know if you saw this. I like soccer, right? I like football.
Yeah.
And I like watches. Big fan of watches, old Xander Mac. So Bulova, the watch company, released a watch. It's a homage to it's a Manchester United club watch. It's retailing for about $400. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a beautiful looking watch. Very
it looks great. Yeah, I've seen it.
It's got a real in my opinion, a real nice 1960s feel to it. It's a chronograph. It's not a Roman numeral dial, which is common in these vintage looking watches. It's standard numbers, but it has a number of features on the face and the design of the watch that pay tribute to Manchester United. For example, at the 2 o'clock hour, at the 2 o'clock hour, there are, and also at the 7, well, instead of saying at 2 o'clock, let's say at 7 minutes, 9 minutes, and 10 minutes, there are numbers. The number 7 is obviously a tribute to all of the great number 7s that have played for
Right.
Manchester United. The 9 and the 10, I don't, it was 1910, I think, was the year that Manchester United was originally came to be, but they were called Newton Heath Football Club, I think. I don't remember. Something like that. There's the Manchester United logo in the seconds chronograph dial, and then there's the Red Devil on the crown of the watch. And apparently
Right.
this thing has it's a quartz movement, but it runs at a very high frequency. So it's, I want to say, I think it's 25 beats per minute. So it has the appearance of a mechanical watch with a sweeping second hand. And for $400,
Exactly.
$400, I got to tell you, I am very tempted to go find one of these. I've followed Manchester United since I was a kid, and I love this thing. It's amazing.
It looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, first of all, it's a Bulova, so I mean, the craftsmanship is I don't want to say unparalleled, but top form.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a special edition, and
Yep.
obviously fans are going to be after it. But watch fans just in general, I think, will like it as
Yeah.
well.
Yep. The 23-minute marker on this is blacked out. That's to commemorate the 23 souls that lost their lives during the 58 Munich air disaster, which apparently claimed 8 Manchester United players. So they've blacked out that. There are a number of little visual clues on the face of this watch that, if you're well versed with the history of the team, would I think ring a lot of bells with you. This thing is fantastic. I don't know. I'm very tempted to try and find one of these. Still.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm a big fan of the watches, obviously. Let me
Did
see
you,
what else.
did
Go ahead.
you want to talk about Apple Mail or Apple News?
Oh yeah, Apple News.
Yeah.
Yeah. So iOS 9 dropped, and one of the embedded apps. I hate embedded apps, by the way. But one of the latest embedded app was Apple News. Now, prior to this, I used Flipboard and Feedly, and before that was Google Reader, which Google canceled for some unknown reason. I was using Feedly and Flipboard. Now I've started to get all my news through Apple News. Now, what about, were you using like an RSS reader prior? Have you tried Apple News? What do you think of this thing?
I have tried Apple News previously. Twitter was a big source of news for me, just following all the different news outlets. I also used the AP has an app, Reuters has an app, so I use those aggregation sites. But Apple News, I mean, by far, just seems to put everything you could want news-wise in one place.
Yeah.
And for me, it's quickly taken the place of the other news aggregation sites I use.
Yeah, same here. I haven't opened Flipboard or Feedly since I got this. I loved the setup where it brought up a list of topics. You chose what interested you, and it keeps fine tuning it through the process. So I picked a lot of different stuff, and I thought, man, this is just going to be information overload. But I think it really curates news well, and somehow, just like Apple Music always seems to come up with really good, Xander Mac playlists, Apple News is coming up with some great stories at the top of the page. I've been very, very surprised with this thing. It's quickly becoming my go-to. Now I use
and a great.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say a great feature of Apple News. I mean, you could do it on Twitter, but you had to have a third-party app such as Instapaper. But a great feature here is, read later or put in your reading queue. I forget what the feature is, but I mean, there is so much news on there that you just don't have time to read it all. But, when you power down at the end of the day, you think of a news story that you didn't have time to read it earlier, and you can go back to it. It's all very compartmentalized and quick.
Yeah,
it's great.
I think it's great. Now, I also use Twitter for a lot of my news, and I have a little tip for people that use Twitter and iOS. If you are in, this is a really quick way to get your news from Twitter. If you're in Safari, if you open the Safari browser on your iPhone and open your bookmarks tab, there are 3 links across the top. One's your bookmarks, one is read later, and the other one is an @ symbol. That @ symbol curates all of the news links from your Twitter feed into one place. So you don't, if you're on Twitter and you follow me, that I can get a bit spammy. You can actually just, so here you go. You can go here and just get the news and avoid anything I have to say on Twitter. So there's a little tip for you. But yeah, Apple News, I've really been enjoying it. Now, for those people on Android, I would still recommend Flipboard. Google News is a good app. I still preferred Google Reader because I could curate it myself, but Google News is a nice curated system by Google themselves. Again, you get to type in what interests you and they populate it for you. Don't know if you've ever tried Google News, Stephen.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
it's a fun app, but
I use it rarely. It's been okay. Apple News, man, I've been very impressed with it. So there you go, guys. That's great. Google Photos and Apple News, 2 apps of the week. We are coming to the end of this show. I'm gonna say goodnight to Stephen. I really hope, Stephen, you'll tell them about anything you have coming up. any events you're going to, any flyering you're doing.
Yeah, so Bernie Sanders flyering October 10th and 11th, LGBT Pride Festival. That's coming up. And if you are a Bernie supporter, or if you like the sound of Bernie, you can get on Facebook and join the groups Atlantans for Bernie or Georgia for Bernie. And both of those will give you upcoming events. And with that, I'll sign off.
Stephen, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you very much for calling in. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really hope I'll have you in one of these chairs soon.
Okay. All right. See you later, man.
And set up right, not bent over.
Hey, great first show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good night, man.
All right. See ya. Bye.
All right, guys. Well, I filled in as much time as I possibly could. I'm probably not going to make it all the way till 9:30 because I've run out of stuff to talk about. It was kind of tech heavy tonight. I think there was a lot of stuff that happened in the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure that next week is going to be as tech heavy. I'm going to try to talk to Keith this weekend because I know he has the Huawei smartwatch on order, and there's a feature. What was that feature called? There was a feature a sponsor was asking about, which apparently is part of Google Play, of the Google smartwatch. Sorry. So what I'm going to do is Keith has his watch on order. He's waiting for it to come in. Then I'm going to do a little research on flick of the wrist technology, and hopefully have Keith on to talk about that and talk about the watch itself, because like I say, I'm a big fan of watches. I don't care if it's a Timex, Rolex, or iOS or an Android watch. I'm just a big fan of watches. I think they're probably the best gadget you can get from a collector standpoint and a value standpoint and an investment standpoint. So I look forward to that. I look forward to having Stephen back on, and most of all, I look forward to continuing this show. I really want to keep this going. If you guys enjoyed it, please comment on the Guns and Gadgets page, like the page, share it with your friends. And let's see if we can't grow this thing. Scott, thank you, sir, for letting me do this. And to Mike and Tyler, you guys, I'm going to miss you. I do hope you're going to be back shortly. I hope you're back soon. And until then, this is Xander Mack, and I'm signing out for the night. Good night. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did you hear any of yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Did you hear any of Steven's call?
Yeah, we listened to it up until about the last 5 minutes.
He's brilliant, very intelligent, and he's one of the people I actually want to get into the studio. I'm just gonna, guys, good night. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and thanks for bearing with me. Good night.